This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 348.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger,
Faster. We have the technology. The technology.
Why, hello there, everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events, no WordCamps. Kind of sad about that once again. Nothing virtual anyways. Nothing in person, and they're always virtual, so nonetheless. But there are local meetups. You should definitely check out the meetup scene, and they're open to anybody, really, because you don't need to drive. They're all via Zoom. And actually, I'll be speaking Actually, this week, the week that this comes out, I'm doing a talk in Miami. I'm going to be a guest there. November, I'm doing Phoenix. And I think November, December, I just got asked to do Houston, one of their meetups. So check out your local meetups, even online on Zoom. Just jump in, learn something, share something, teach something, etc. So there you go. Also, as far as an event goes, my daughter's birthday is coming up at the end of this week. So happy birthday to her. Okay, moving on. Segment 1 in the news. Only one thing here at the moment. WordPress 5.6 Beta 1 is now out for testing. It's still in development, so of course run this on a dev server. There's been improvements to the editor. It includes 7 new Gutenberg plugin releases and improvements to core, new default theme. 2021 is coming out as well. Auto update option for major releases, increased support for PHP 8, which is pretty cool as well. And there's a couple more things in there as well. So I'll put a link in the show notes. If you want to test it and help out, by all means, you should. So is that it? That is it in the news, kind of a light news week. All right, moving on to segment 2, the meat and potatoes. But first, a word from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is WP Complete. Now, what is WP Complete? Well, it's a WordPress course completion plugin that helps your students become more successful with online courses by helping them track their progress. That's right, tracking their progress. It is the functionality most online course plugins are missing. By giving students a way to track their progress through online courses, they're more likely to finish. That means happier, more accomplished students, right? That's what we want. Out of the box, WP Complete works with most WordPress course and membership plugins, requires zero programming, and can be connected to your mailing list software. And it'll automatically email students when they finish a lesson or an entire course. Pretty cool little functionality there. You can also use WP Complete with any WordPress theme, page, or post type, even custom post types. That's what that's saying there for you. So keep that in mind as well. Recently acquired by the iThemes company and the suite of their products. So the code base is great. The support is rock solid. So if you're interested in this, head over to wpcomplete.co, use code SINKWP, it's SINKWP, and save 25% off your purchase. Thanks again to WP Complete for their support of this episode. All right, moving on. Segment 2, meat and potatoes. This week, I have an interview with Jessi Gurr. She's awesome. She's in a Slack group that I'm a part of, and a mastermind and a book club. She runs an amazing agency up in Minnesota. And so take a listen. I'll let her explain what she does. And I'll come back after that with the tip and tool of the week. All right, take a listen. This week, I am joined by Jessi Gurr. Jessi is a vegan, a mom, an entrepreneur, master penguin at Iceberg Web, a speaker and growth coach, and is always looking to the future. Welcome to the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, Jessi.
Hey, Adam Silver. How's it going today?
It's going well, thank you. So, as I always start my interviews, I tell the audience how I might know the guest. And in this case, I do believe it's just primarily from the WordPress for Business Slack group. Mm-hmm. And then which we are now also have branched out into a business book club. And we are also in a mastermind.
All the things.
All things. Normally, I know people in person, but this year, 2020, is not a standard WordPress year, if you will, because we've never met in person. Normally, we would have probably at this point at a WordCamp, I would imagine.
I would imagine. We've been to a few places at the same time.
Yes.
Just probably never crossed paths.
Right. I mean, I usually do about 10 camps a year, and that would have happened for sure.
Same.
So for those who don't know you the way I know you, how did you get into WordPress? How did you get here, as they say in certain songs?
Into WordPress in general?
Yeah.
I've actually, so I have been kind of doing website work since I was a kid. I mean, my LinkedIn profile tells the story of my dad bringing home the AOL CD in the early 90s. And very quickly after that, I found GeoCities. all the fun creating, websites with black backgrounds and lime green text and
Awesome.
little running dog animations. WordPress officially I started using in 2005 as a blogging platform, primarily for the radio station that I was a DJ at in college, and then also became sort of the webmaster and on the leadership team for the student-run radio station. Also did some work on websites for the college newspaper that I was an editor at for many years, and sort of just started freelancing. Most of the sites back in 2005 were just straight HTML, but WordPress I would pull out for blogging and more dynamic things. So it's been in my life a long time.
It has. Interesting. So now, tell us what you do now. And then, I'm curious on that. Like, how did you migrate from just freelancing, little stuff here and there, to what you're doing now? And what is that?
Yeah, so that's a really long story that we probably don't have time for. And one of the reasons that I speak, actually, because I love to tell that full story of how I went from just me building websites and then sort of starting a business out of building websites. Ultimately, it came from just being unhappy in, a menial job that I was working customer service right after college, and really had a passion for building websites and thought, hey, you know what? I'm a great place in my life, good opportunity, started up a little business. It just grew organically, one customer at a time. And 6-8 years into Iceberg, I finally sort of took the plunge and took on a contractor to help with some projects, played around with sales contractors. 2015 was really the pivotal year for my business, where I hired an actual assistant. She came into my home. She sat at a desk next to me and she answered the phone, and she learned how to be a web developer. She has actually since moved on, and she has a much deeper developer role at another agency. So it was really cool to watch kind of the growth of a human there. Hired salespeople. Iceberg is a full-on marketing agency, primarily doing WordPress. We do sort of the suite of website services, search engine, content, advertising. We have 8 full-time employees, including myself right now. We've been as high as 10, but yeah, we're in a pretty good place. So my job today really is more CEO, more visionary, kind of overseeing the whole operation and making sure we have the right people in the right seats to help our customers.
Right. So, it's, so you're living the dream, really, is what you're doing.
Oh boy. Sure.
So, I'm curious, let's back up for 1 second. Are you more, since you were building sites, are you more designer or developer, or both, in the sense, because you did it from the ground up, you did the HTML, but if you had to pick the two, what did you like better?
I am better at development than I am at design. I'm very much a person who designs in the browser using HTML and CSS. I can work Photoshop. I have a background in newspaper, so Illustrator,
right,
InDesign, those things pretty good at. I guess I'm sort of the stereotypical jack of all trade freelancer when it comes to starting up a web agency.
Right. So your day-to-day now is pretty much what?
Today it's communications. It's all communications. Meeting people like you through networking groups. Until recently, I was traveling 2 times a month to different WordCamps, different events, really active in chambers of commerce, speaking, telling my story, helping other people learn. And then internally at Iceberg, it's more kind of running the leadership team, making sure that all of the gears are greased, that customers are happy, and playing a role, in helping sales with putting together proposals, helping operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to then now touch on the base that obviously you identify as a woman, as female.
Yes.
Just to put that out there. But
Sure.
So what have you noticed? I'm a huge proponent in obviously trying to make an equal playing ground, a field here in our industry specifically for gender equality, and whatnot. Have you had any issues there? In not just in the WordPress space, really, but more in the business space. As a woman business owner, CEO, since 2015.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of networking groups where I am one of the few females. And I think that's pretty normal. I think a lot of women experience the same thing.
Mhm.
I definitely would say that I strike up deeper conversations with men, and I don't know if that is because it's more in the industry and in the business world space, and it's just the people that I'm running into. I have not really gone down, the route of promoting Iceberg as a woman-run business per se, although, definitely that aspect is, part of our marketing, part of our sales,
Right.
but not something that I've really focused on. I would say that the struggles that I encounter are more specifically related to being a business owner than being a female business owner.
Interesting. Okay. Have you ever had the experience of not being taken seriously because of that? I mean, your name is Jessi, so you're lucky in that sense that it could be either way.
Yeah, we actually get a lot of people who call asking for Jessi, assuming that I'm a male.
Right.
And so I've heard that conversation on the phone many times. No, actually, she is not in the office right now, or she is not available.
Right.
No, I don't think I've specifically encountered any sort of like discrimination for being a female business owner, but I tend to pick and choose the people that I surround myself with very carefully.
Right.
And so I don't usually find myself put myself, I suppose, in uncomfortable situations where that would be an issue.
Interesting. What is your current, you have 8 people, including you. What are the other 7 as far as breakdown of gender? I'm curious. And roles.
So Shane is our vice president of sales and marketing. He has been with me for 4.5 years. So he's been with me the longest of my current team. He handles all sales, all things sales, most customer communications. We have our lead developer is also our vice president operations, Carrie. She's been with me for also 4 years. She does a lot of design and also development, but she heads up operations, kind of makes sure that the projects are streamlined. Marianne is our project manager. She started out as customer service and project manager, and we eventually split that role. So she is full-time project manager, also VP finance. So she's moving more into a financial role as we grow. And then we have a full-time customer service rep who her name is also Jessi. Let me tell you, pro tip, always hire someone with your same name to answer your phones. It's amazing.
Nice.
Is Jessi there? Yeah, this is.
Perfect.
Instant screener. No, so she does all of the customer service. She handles minimal support updates. Customers call, they need language on their website changed. They have new pictures. They want blog posts added. She does all of that for us. We have another developer named Kyle. He's more of a back-end developer, does a lot of the e-commerce or membership integrations for our customers. Full-time content writer. She is involved with pretty much every single project that we do, and then provides some content consulting and strategy, ongoing blog posts. And then we have an SEO and marketing manager who does SEO account management for our customers, and she also does Iceberg's internal marketing, so our MailChimp, our Facebook, blog posts, and such.
So you've got the whole team.
The whole suite.
It's interesting. And so, what was the hardest thing to let go?
Well, the phone was the easiest thing to let go. We can start there. That's what I hired first. I have a difficult time letting go of control. And so I think the project management aspect was really hard to fully offload. Just not being involved in the day-to-day, trusting that someone else is going to make sure that things get done. As you bring on more people and as you start to offload things from your plate, I can say it gets easier and easier. The day that, our project manager started in the customer service role, I had just a stack of office administrative stuff that it was super easy to unload.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on my team, as you know, I have Sally is my PM, but she also does some development. She does a little bit of both. But as a PM, she's awesome. I mean, I can PM. We can all do certain jobs. I'm good at it if that's all I'm doing. And I got to tell you, so she's the first PM I've had for, and now ongoing for the past, I don't know, 3-4 months, maybe 5 months. And in our most recent project, we did a kickoff call. I did the kickoff call with the client. The client was mine prior to her being part of the team. So I wanted to make sure they were okay with it. And then in that kickoff call, I started just PMing. And I just stopped myself. We were all on Zoom, and I'm like, oh, wait, you know what, Sally, it's you. Take over. And I've only been in, I've talked to the client once or twice just offline, just to make sure things are okay, that they want to touch base with me, because they've been with me for 2 years, prior projects. But otherwise, Sally's running the show. She works with the client. She works with the developer. Yeah, it's great. It is amazing. But it was hard to give that up.
It's a great feeling, though, when you can just sort of sit back and watch things get done.
Right. Yeah. And then everyone has their own struggles, and sometimes stuff comes up, so you have to be sure you still touch base with them, But yeah, that was hard to give up. I mean, that was tough for me, even though I really wanted to, but I couldn't be happier with that setup. So I would love to have a salesperson, I think, but that's hard too, because there's that saying, I don't know if you agree or not, but no one's going to sell your services better than you can.
I do agree with that. You have to approach sales with the right attitude, and you really have to look at sales more as a full-time commitment. So for me, I'm really good at sales. I'm really good at meeting customers. I'm really good at converting if I have someone sitting in front of me. I absolutely hate the phone. I hate phone calls. COVID's been a struggle because it's a lot of video. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more personal, but it's still almost like the phone. And I much prefer being in person and sitting next to someone. And so in this industry, there's a lot of phone calls prior to getting in front of somebody in a coffee shop or wherever you're going to meet them. Mm-hmm. So for me to find someone who was super comfortable on the phone, who didn't curse every time the phone rang, and who was, fine with spending 25 minutes disqualifying somebody, that was a game changer. I actually hired 2 people full-time to do sales back in 2016 at the same time. And I think that was another really good approach for me as sort of a startup multi-person agency at that point, to put 2 people sort of competing with each other, I guess, for sales, but also working with each other, right? And working very closely with me so that, if they had questions or if one of them was struggling, the other one could come in. I'm always still 100% available. Every week I am working directly with my sales, with Shane, to put together proposals to make sure that scopes are clearly written.
Right. So I have a couple more questions. I want to be respectful of time. But so on the sales role, I'm just curious real quick. Are they, I'm pretty sure I'm right here. They're salaried. Are they also commission or incentivized any which way?
Yep. A base salary that is livable plus a pretty healthy commission on top of that. Yep.
Interesting. Okay. So that then leads me to the question about pricing. Do you guys do value-based, hourly, race to the bottom, give it away? There's so many different ways to go, as we know, in our industry, because
we do project-based pricing for large website development projects, and that ranges, agency pricing, I suppose, anywhere from the $7,500 to $50,000 plus, depending on the type of project. It's
a variable.
Pricing. $1 million question, isn't it?
Right.
No, we do project-based pricing, and then we have retainers for maintenance and hosting, which is also, flat rate, whatever. It doesn't include unlimited hours. That's not.
I don't do that either. Yeah. Those companies, I think, because they're only doing maintenance. That's different. Yeah. Yeah.
And then hourly for updates and support. So somebody calls and says, "Hey, Jessi, my CSR Jessi, I need you to swap out this picture on the about page," and she does, and she does that in 10 minutes, and she's like, "It's done. It's a 15-minute charge."
Okay.
So
Okay. So I want to still talk about your process here, because in conversations we've had in the past, pre-recording this podcast episode, you've mentioned that you're very process driven. And I have a quote here from you: "All content first."
Yes.
So what expand on that? Like, how does that work for your process?
Well, so processes is something that we've been really focusing on at Iceberg for the past year and a half, specifically coming out of the book Traction, which we are reading in our book club right now.
Yes, you're leading us on that one.
Yes. Our agency operates on traction, pretty hardcore, and it's made incredible amounts of differences. And so writing our processes and fine tuning our process. But the way that we've always approached website development projects is, obviously there's the sales and the discovery and the onboarding part, but we don't start with design or development until we have full content. What that used to look like for us was a direct referral to a content writer. It got to the point where so many people that were coming in, didn't have any clue about content that we hired internally full-time for content. And so we've got, just sort of a basic template for how we expect people to deliver content. If they deliver it part done, then we, add in consulting time for our project manager, content writer, or whoever. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's even our lead developer that will help out a little bit with content organization. And once we have content, then we have a clear picture for how we want to proceed with the design. And content for us includes, the words on your website, the calls to action, and the pictures or video.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. And then you put all that together in the proposal as well. Is that before you even get to a proposal? Or that's like
part of the proposal.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Content is a line item in every proposal, and the line item is either we are doing content for you, or you are supplying content in the format that we are requesting it in.
Nice. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. I actually have a sub question from earlier because I meant to ask. I waited to the last question, second to last question. And this came actually from our good friend Sally. I'll give her props. What's an unexpected joy that you had come out of owning your own agency?
I can pick up my kids from school at 3:00 and nobody cares.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something that rings true throughout the entire agency. Our lead developer starts work after her kids get on the bus and leaves in time to get her kids off the bus. I mean, this has always been core to the culture. And so having the freedom and the flexibility to go for a walk at 12 in the afternoon, or to pick up the kids early from school, or to sit in on a podcast interview with Adam Silver at 8:00 in the morning when I would otherwise, be
asleep,
hammering at calls or whatever. Yeah, but yeah. The flexibility. Also, I really, travel in general is a huge passion for me. And so being able to take visiting conferences in other states, even other countries, sort of as an ancillary part of my job has been super rewarding, super fulfilling. And also just sharing my experience. I think when it comes to, getting a reward from the work that you put in, take time to help other people along the way and share experiences is
right.
Super satisfying for me.
Okay. All right. Final question. My listeners always like to know what tools people use on their day-to-day basis. As a developer, as an agency owner, what are the 3 tools that you use that you kind of can't live without or that make your life easier?
So you asked me this question before the podcast.
I give people the heads up on this one.
Yeah, so this has been rolling around in my head, and my initial thought was 3 tools: a hammer, one of those teeny tiny screwdrivers that you can use, for batteries and whatnot, and my drill. And then you said tools you can't live without. Yes, and so, I went immediately to like the fork and the knife and the stuff. For the business, for my everyday, can't get my job done without, I would say honestly, a pen and paper. Are super important. And I am kind of a tactile note taker. So being able to write down things, being able to write lists, being able to make notes while I'm in meetings, definitely something I could not give up. My calendar, specifically ical, although I have it synced with Google Cal.
Same here. Yep.
I definitely rely on my calendar just to get through every day. And then a communication tool, either Slack or email. Probably Slack right now, just because everything is virtual. And Yep.
Yeah, you and I are on Slack every day.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So notebook, calendar, Slack.
Okay, pretty easy. Where can people follow you online if they want to reach out?
I am at Jessi Gurr everywhere. So pretty easy. JESSIGURR.
Awesome. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate having you here, and also just like hanging out and talking to you. I really do. I mean, I've learned a lot from you already, so it's awesome.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
You bet. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Loved talking to Jessi. She is seriously very, very cool. I mean, seriously, I wish we were closer. She'd be cool to hang out with. She'd be cool to just kind of just go back to conferences with and learn from. She's awesome. So anyway, thanks again to her. If you want to follow her, you can. She's over at Jessi Gurr, JESSIGURR. So again, thanks to her. All right, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week's tip, actually, it's a tool. It's a service called pastel.com. It's over at it's at usepastel.com. It's a service similar to other ones that are out there where it's front end notes on top of a website. So for getting feedback from your clients, instead of going back and forth with either a Google Sheet or whatnot, it's pretty cool. There's a free level and a paid level. I don't have any connection to them. I just thought it was interesting. Just another option out there for you. Pricing goes from, like I said, free to $49 for 2 users, a whole bunch of canvases and clients, unlimited client studio pricing, $99 a month, agency $250, etc. So check it out over at usepastel.com. Again, just sharing out there other tools that you might want to use, because I'm still testing tools to get feedback from clients. And there's that. All right. I think that is it. Yeah, that's it this week. Let me wrap it up. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use the speak pipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon over at kitchensinkwp.com/Patreon. You can sponsor the show. There's a form on the website. Thanks again to WP Complete for sponsoring this week's episode. Thanks for listening, and see you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.